The Golden Gate Bridge, while it was under construction, was a busy place. The text mentions a group of men working on the bridge. It was a project that involved many people. An engine is swung across a canyon over the Rio Grande River, showcasing early engineering feats in New Mexico. This is in Rio Grande, New Mexico, around 1915. A little girl's talking with her father, who's a train driver for the Southern Railway's Southern Belle steam train, before he leaves on a trip to Brighton in London. This was in 1931. The progression of syphilis in humans can cause damage to parts of the face. Chichen Itza in 1892 before excavation. "34 Albury Street, Deptford, 1911. There's a nursery in the ground floor rear room. A reporter is receiving a kiss, circa 1943. Grocery shopping. This was when we had to be perfectly groomed for the Lord and Master to get home, 1960s. There's a young girl with a cleft lip. You can see her jaw and teeth. This was sometime between 1890 and the 1910s. The Sears Roebuck catalog assembly line in 1942. A man is eating with a mechanical soup spoon designed to cool a bowl of scalding hot soup. The picture is from 1948. A mom and her 3 kids on a Boston street, 1930s. The civil rights movement fire hose, the result of an argument these young men had with the officers. This happened during one of the pictures taken during the reign of Martin Luther King Jr. in Birmingham, 1963. A woman is doing her daily exercises, using a new apparatus in the 1930s. Marlene Dietrich, in a New York studio, was photographed by Milton H. Greene in 1952. Floodwaters engulf the Rocky River Reservation, showing the power of nature in this Cuyahoga County landmark. Ohio, 1931. The New Zealand Maori Battalion performed a haka ceremonial dance in Egypt, 1941. Fred Pearson and his family stand resiliently amidst the harsh realities of frontier life. They're embodying the struggles of isolation, scarcity, and survival in early Kansas. This is in Johnson County, Kansas, around 1908. Mothers lift their baby carriages off the bus, capturing a moment of daily life and transport in mid-century Christchurch, New Zealand, 1950. An ice delivery man restocks a family's icebox as a woman welcomes him into her home. It's a snapshot of daily life before modern refrigeration. This was in Knoxville, Tennessee, around 1930. Here we are, watching the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. Vibration therapy, a treatment for headaches, dates all the way back to the 1890s. This is a photograph of Ernest Hemingway from 1923. A 19th century mass shaving machine was invented to shave multiple men simultaneously. It showcased one of the era's more absurd innovations. There's a tumor on a person's head and it's really swelled up a lot. This was in 1889. People shelter and sleep on the platform and on the train tracks in Aldwych Underground Station, London, after sirens sounded to warn of German bombing raids on October 8, 1940. In the early 1900s, one way to transport tons of materials and train parts was to suspend it hundreds of feet in the air and tow it across a canyon. Photographer Margaret Bourke-White captured a shot from the top of the Chrysler Building in 1935. It's an aerial view of the Palace of Westminster and Big Ben, right on the banks of the Thames River in London. This was around 1900. Severe syphilis caused a young man to lose his nose in the 1880s. A whimsical Christmas tree costume, with ornaments and lights, that brings festive cheer. There's a pyramid of captured German helmets. It's in New York in 1918. Car seats for children in the 1940s didn't have any of the safety features we have now, which meant they were really dangerous compared to what we have today. This is the mask worn by Edward Paynell, the notorious Beast of Jersey, when he attacked his victims around 1957. There's an American soldier with a Joey. It was 1942. (1909), a Grand Palais Air Show in Paris. In 1942, the USS Trout, Submarine 202, delivered ammo to the Philippines. On its way back to Pearl Harbor, it carried 20 tons of gold and silver as ballast. While traveling, it sank a Japanese freighter and patrol boat. So in 1945, before computers, taking airline reservations was a different ballgame. The text tells us that it involved looking up information in a big, thick book. It sounds like they used a flight schedule book that was about the size of a phone book. They'd use it to find available flights, and then they'd write the details down on a form. Then, they would send the form by pneumatic tube to another department. Apparently, this system was used to keep track of flight bookings. A woman, the effect of syphilis before salvarsan and penicillin became available, from 1880 to 1910. The Chrysler Building from the roof of the Pan Am Building in 1963. Charles Ponzi, the notorious con artist, became the namesake for Ponzi schemes due to his infamous investment scam. Audrey Hepburn is shopping with her pet deer, whose name is Pip, in Beverly Hills, California in 1958. Cheyenne Dog Soldier Black Wolf, 1921. Bathing suit beauty contestants on the boardwalk at Coney Island in 1922. Vernon Evans and his family are traveling in a Model T Ford. They're leaving drought-stricken South Dakota, heading for a fresh start in Oregon. They're hoping to arrive in Yakima for hop picking. This is near Missoula, Montana, on Highway 10 in the 1930s. With this 1920s Pramobile, parents and their baby carriages could hit the streets at 15 miles per hour. Louis Armstrong, an American trumpeter and one of the most influential artists in jazz history, is drawing a trumpet and autographing the side of a young man's head in Nice, France, in 1961. A Victorian-era sitter is clamped into position using a metal frame before having his portrait taken. Italian troops, they're raising a gun, and there's a dog and a soldier on a mountain, the Italian Alps, during World War I, 1915. A Caterpillar tractor is hauling logs through a 15-foot deep excavation. It really shows the grit of Washington's logging industry. This was in Washington State around the 1930s. A heavy snowstorm blankets New York City, paralyzing streets and transforming the urban landscape. New York, 1947. March 24, 1868, the Steam Man, the first American robot. The Chelsea Bridge Rockers, a group of motorcycle enthusiasts known for their rebellious spirit. A pioneer wagon train on the Oregon Trail, making its way through Ute Pass. Ellie Mae and Ms. Hathaway are getting ready for a dip in the cement pond in 1962. Travelers who needed to cross the rivers around Somerville, Massachusetts, but didn't want to deal with the hassle of a ferry or rowboat, could have perhaps hailed this water taxi for on-demand service. 1910 to 1940s. The Dynasphere, a giant wheel vehicle invented by Dr. J.A. Purvis, could go as fast as 30 miles per hour. It was an early attempt at futuristic transportation. College Guys, circa 1910. A group of young men is posing. They're wearing suits, some with ties, some with bow ties. They're standing close together. One of the men is holding a cane. Another has a pocket watch. They appear to be on a campus. There's a building in the background. All right, here's the deal. There are 3 Edwardian couples, and they're all taking what we'd call selfies today. They're using a mirror, and the location is unknown. This all went down sometime around the 1900s. In 1941, Slovenian Albina Mali Hočevar joined the People's Liberation Movement at the age of 16. She was wounded twice as a resistance fighter when she was 17. For the rest of the war, she worked as a nurse. Bike sailing in Florida, 1903. Okay, so we're talking about PSA flight attendants around the 1970s. Henry Ford's first successful vehicle, the quadricycle, featured innovative designs like a doorbell button horn and 2 driving speeds. Detroit, Michigan, 1896. This takes us to a time when 2 young women were riding a 1902 Lawson's motor wheel, which shows us the early days of motoring. All right, let's talk about learning to ride a bicycle back in 1895. A steam locomotive moves along a flooded street during a flood in Boston, 1915. The shoes worn by John Wayne Gacy while he dressed as Pogo the Clown. The Graf Zeppelin soars over Montevideo, Uruguay, showcasing the grandeur of early air travel. This was in June 1934. Girls with a sense of humor. Henri Leclerc, a skilled conductor, managed the first passenger journeys aboard L'Obéissante. This was in Le Mans, France, 1873. People are swimming around the Kaaba, the holy place of the Muslims, after a heavy rain. Sea shoes, invented by M.W. Holton, had duckfoot propellers. The year was 1962. The first version of Ronald McDonald, created by Willard Scott in 1963, was a much more whimsical and clownish version compared to the character we know today. French cellist Maurice Becquet is trying to open his car, which is covered with snow, during a snowstorm in New York in 1960. There are people in the ocean at Santa Monica Beach in 1926. A child wearing an Indian hat looks out of the coal cellar. London Bridge, and imagine traffic jams, but instead of cars, it was all horse-drawn carts around 1900. Underground picture of timbering in the Homestake gold mine. This was in Lead, South Dakota, USA. The year was 1908. The photographer was William B. Perkins, Jr. A man is riding along with one dog perched on his hat and another dog tucked inside his jacket. It's an unusual but charming moment from the 1920s. A gas mask designed for newborns is tested, showing the precautions taken during World War II. The location is the United Kingdom in 1941. A rare portrait of John D. Rockefeller at age 18, around 1858. Babies race to the finish in the 1950s diaper derbies. Joseph LaRoche was one of the only black men on the Titanic. He was a 41-year-old engineer, and his wife, Juliette, were traveling to France with their 2 young daughters, aged 3 and 1. They were traveling in second class because the White Star Line did not allow black passengers to travel in first class. They had been living in Paris, but they were returning to their native Haiti because Joseph could not find work in France. On the night of the sinking, Joseph put his family into a lifeboat. He was last seen on deck, smoking a cigarette. His body was never recovered. Post Office Department Inspector D.F. Angier on the left and Dr. L.F. Kebler, who used to be with the Food and Drug Administration, are trying out a stretching device. It was supposed to increase your height by 2 to 6 inches, and this was in 1931.